Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today. In keeping in the spirit of spooky season, today I'm going to be going over red flags in academics. For those of you who don't know, my name is Tim Miller. I'm a physical therapist by trade. I made the transition from clinical work to academics and have had various and continue to have various academic positions. And I even, went back to school, got my EDD in educational technology, which led me to my current position working in curricular and faculty development with Rehab Essentials. And then I also do faculty mentoring and coaching. So, for years, I've worked with faculty members to help kind of refine their teaching methods, create classes that can help truly engage students both in traditional face-to-face or blended or online education. And so today, again, I'm going to be sharing some insights into red flags in academics. So, as you've heard me say before, transitioning into academia can be rewarding, but it's important to be aware of potential issues or red flags. So some red flags that, you should really look for when considering a faculty position, I'm going to just kind of share and break those down for you. So, um, you know, some of those can occur during the interview or hiring process. So just like with any interview, if you have vague or evasive answers, if the search committee or the program director is, unwilling or seems like they're not providing clear answers about things such as workload distribution, which is again teaching, scholarship, and service, which I've had previous sessions on of what it means to be a faculty member. So as you're learning about those and you have questions about what does that look like, and their answers aren't very clear, that is a red flag. Promotion and tenure expectations, departmental structure, anything that it seems that there's just not transparency or potentially stability in those areas. Those are things to look for. High faculty turnover, just like with any job, like, this is not, unique just to academics, but I'm going to provide examples in academics for it. So if there's high faculty turnover, so, definitely you want to inquire about how long faculty members typically stay. If the program has had a lot of frequent or rapid exit of faculty, especially for new faculty in the past few years, that can be a sign of systemic problems like a poor work-life balance, low morale, perhaps bad leadership, all of those things that go on for people to leave positions. If there's, and again, with the clarity of tenure and promotion, if there's a lack of clear written criteria for promotion and tenure or continuing appointment, that's a red flag. So, candidates should, understand exactly what's required of them in terms of if it's publications, grant funding, teaching, service, all of those requirements should be very clear of what that looks like and what's going to be expected of you. Um, and then just a bigger overall, and this one I think is a little bit more challenging to discern, but just be aware of, salary and resource discrepancies. So if the offered salary or available resources are significantly lower than similar programs in the region or not competitive for the expected workload, then it signals that the program may be undervalued by the institution. There's also red flags related to the program and university culture. Just like with any organization, there could be those red flags. One thing is accreditation issues. So, knowing if there are any issues within, CAPTE, for PT education, if there's any you can research, the status of their last accreditation review, if there are any warnings or sanctions received, when the next review is scheduled, those types of things. So, understanding that there is some, data that's available publicly through CAPTE, but these are fair questions to ask of, hey, when was your last review? What was the report? All of those things. Um, Something else is unrealistic clinical or program outcomes. So, if they are unrealistic, so just that may seem overly inflated compared to national averages. You just want to kind of keep that aware. So sometimes it could be first time pass rate, or, those types of things. So you may want to find out, about what those are, different outcomes that they measure and what they may be. again. So just keeping a mind for that. Toxic or highly competitive internal environment. So, during informal conversations or site visits, look for signs of, maybe if there's siloing among faculty, meaning like research versus clinical faculty, maybe public disagreements or complaining about the university, or, those types of things, kind of keep that, in mind, and I think we're all pretty well aware of if there are some red flags that stick out like that. And then the last one is in terms of over reliance on adjuncts or for core courses. So, this it can happen. It's very common. There's adjuncts for core courses, but you want to keep an eye out on, are they using a lot of adjuncts, or are they using a lot of part-time faculty for a lot of courses, and that could indicate a lack of investment in full-time faculty, maybe unsustainable teaching load placed on existing full-time faculty, or just positions that they can't fill, and why can't they fill those? So keeping that in mind as well. Like in any position, red flags for workload and expectations. So you really want to have a clear understanding on what is your teaching load. How many credits are going to be assigned to you? How many courses does that encompass? Making sure that that's realistic. So is that are you going to do you have to teach three courses a semester and also be expected to, have grants and publish papers, or, those types of things. So, understanding like what is that productivity requirement, whether it's, for teaching, for research, for scholarship, and those types of things. Again, within service, like, what does the service look like in terms of admissions committee or student advising, or, those types of things. And they should be very clear on what committees they see you serving on and what that workload looks like, and, those types of things as well. And then sometimes there are clinical faculty as well. So, they may have a clinic tied to their program, and just understanding, are you expected, is there clinical productivity requirements? So faculty who are academic, and there might be some clinical productivity metrics that you have to meet. And does that, when you're teaching, does that count against your clinical time, and vice versa? So how do they account for that and make sure that, you're given the space to be productive in both, but there aren't unrealistic expectations? So, a crucial takeaway that the role should just be clearly defined for teaching, clinical, or research track. Expectations, promotion, and workload should match that and be clearly documented and known of, what is that and what are the expectations, and there should be transparency there. One final red flag also wanted to, keep in mind, or something to think about, is there a disparity between the actual cohort size and the target enrollment? So is there under enrollment? Like every school has a target number that they have submitted to CAPTE to say, here's our expected enrollment, and here is what we're hoping to admit. So for example, that might be 40. Programs are allowed to go up to 10% over, of that. But, if it's 40 and they're consistently having 20 students, that's something to be aware of. So, that can be a red flag related to, financial stability, the job security, workload management, those types of things. So, keeping in mind, of that. And because of that, if there's low enrollment, there's, less tuition dollars coming in. So, understanding if they don't meet those enrollment targets, the university, could cut different operating budgets for the program, for professional development. So that could be attending conferences, support staff, those types of things. Are there hiring freezes or layoffs or furloughs? And then are there, pressures to increase enrollment? So, keeping in mind, just what that looks like, what their enrollment has looked like historically. Are they hitting their targets? Is it under? What is that? How that looks as well. So, keeping that in mind. And related to that is just making sure there's a balanced faculty to student ratio. So CAPTE mandates that there's a student ratio around 1 to 15 or 1 to 20, depending on cohort size. So just keeping in mind, is that ratio being maintained in what that looks like? Or is there a really reliance on a very small faculty pool, and that ratio is out of whack, or are what do those things look like? So in short, just making sure that there's a that you understand that, is there a difference between the target and actual enrollment size? And if there's a huge discrepancy, trying to maybe as best you can investigate that a little bit further, and making sure that you're not entering into a bad situation where there's under enrollment and now there's institutional stress on that program, and then that's kind of passed down to the new faculty. So these aren't all the red flags. There's a lot of overlap between normal red flags of any job or industry or things that you're thinking of. So just wanted to share some that are again, big picture red flags just to be aware of, but how, some of those to be aware of in the academic space that you may not have thought of previously. So, um, if you'd like to learn more about that, or if you have any questions, through my Clinical Connections faculty mentoring program, I can help, I help people prepare for interviews. I help them work through here's programs you should consider working for. Here's questions you should think about. If you do get hired, what does that look like? How can, what does it look like, to be able to now become involved in academics and provide that personalized support. So, whatever challenges you're facing within that, or just getting some support and helping navigating your new role, or looking on how you can transition to that role. So, I do all of those things. So if you have any questions, please just reach out and let me know. I hope you might have learned something today about red flags to think about, for academics. Um, if you want to put anything in the comments below, I can reach out to you, and answer any questions. Feel free to send me a direct message with any questions. And I just really appreciate you watching, and I will see you next time. So thanks so much.